Hello everyone, this is part 23 of What If Naruto Had the Ultimate Dojutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. The two Kenjutsu shinobi were currently exiting the Forest of Death. They were on their way towards the Hokage faces that were quite a ways from the location they were at currently. It was an Anbu and a teenager leaving, and as they ran, the Anbu brought something to the blonde's attention. You know that we have to get there fast or the other Jonin will make you wait. Granted, there are multiple rooms at the location, it's best if you don't get relaxed, Yugao told Naruto, and the blonde nodded. He sighed and stopped in a small field. I know that, Yugao-chan. That's why we're going to be taking a shortcut, Naruto said as he grabbed Yugao around her waist, making the Anbu slightly blush as they disappeared in the Hiraishin. They didn't have any time to waste, so why were they running when Naruto had his father's technique? Hokage faces. Naruto and Yugao instantly appeared on top of the faces of the Hokage. Yugao quickly dropped to her knees in shock of what just happened. So that's what it was like to be in the Hiraishin. Naruto chuckled at her reaction and waited for Yugao to get over her shock as he looked around. He sighed before looking over the village. The blonde smiled as he found a place he wanted to protect. He wondered if anyone else felt like this as the wind blowed across his face. Yugao looked up from where she was laying and watching Naruto looking down at the village. He had such a calm aura around him that made her feel at peace with herself. She hadn't had such a feeling except when she was with Hayate. She wondered what she saw in Naruto, but she certainly wasn't hating it in the least. Yugao got to her feet and tapped Naruto's shoulder, bringing the blonde to her attention. Naruto, we have to go now, Yugao said, and Naruto nodded. The two walked away from the faces and continued travel towards the trees that were behind them. They were only a few feet away, so there wasn't much walking going around. When Naruto and Yugao walked into the small forested area, they quickly saw a small building and narrowed their eyes. Alright, Yugao-chan, let's go, Naruto told her, and the purple-haired Anbu nodded as they opened the door. They looked around to see it was completely dark inside. The lights were broken, the stairs were mess, and the place was trashed. It looks like it's been abandoned, Yugao said, stealing a glance at Naruto, and the blonde glared at the dark space for a bit. He closed his eyes for a second and went through some hand signs. Byakugan, Naruto yelled as he looked at the ground. Yugao watched him look at the internal structure of the building before Naruto closed his eyes and they returned back to their normal color. Yugao-chan, don't move, Naruto told her, and the Anbu tensed. Did she miss something? They both stayed right near the door and Naruto looked around the room with Yugao doing the same. Naruto, what's the problem? Yugao asked, and the Kyuubi Jinchuriki pointed at the top of the ceiling. Yugao slowly looked up and raised an eyebrow as she saw 3 to 10 explosion tags on the ceiling. Naruto pointed to the walls, which showed more explosion tags. All around them were tags that were set to explode on the smallest tap of the building. It's a trap. I fell for it completely. We have to get around this, Naruto said to her, and Yugao couldn't agree more with him. Namika's compound. Well, that's cheap. To rig an entire building with explosions is rather uncanny, Haku said while everyone watched. They all couldn't agree more with her while Kimimaro stood to his feet. Naruto-sama should be fine. I already have an idea about how he could pass something like that, Kimimaro said, getting everyone attention. Kushina and Tayuya chuckled with nods of their own, keeping everyone in suspense of the whole ordeal. I see you figured it out also. I have a way too, Kushina replied, making everyone tense. But no one said anything as they wanted to see what Naruto could come up with on his own. Nanabe and Fu smiled as they watched. They even had their own unique idea of how to do it also. It was all a matter of chakra control. Well, in any case, let's see what the S can do, Tayuya said, and everyone stayed silent as they watched Naruto think it over. With Naruto and Yugao, the blonde racked his brain for a bit as Yugao watched him. She knew of a way also, but this was a test for Naruto. A Hokage had to work well under pressure and in dire situations. Yes, they had help, but it was they were the ones who were in charge and who needed to think of things themselves. So on that note, Yugao watched her blonde friend struggle before he suddenly smiled. Naruto sighed as he thought it over. He tried to make sense of everything that was in front of him. In all his training, Kyuubi always taught him that nothing was as it seemed. There was always an escape route to every situation. He was the only one who needed to make that route. Suddenly it hit Naruto. He smiled and turned to Yugao. Yugao-chan, how much do you trust me? Naruto asked, and Yugao wondered about that question. She also feared the response she might get to her answer. Yugao put a finger to her chin before softly shrugging her shoulders. I trust you enough to go with whatever you want, so get it done, Naruto, Yugao told him, and the blonde nodded. He quickly walked further into the building, and just like he and Yugao expected, the place exploded from the sealed tags around the building, making it explode all around them. Other Jonin and their Anbu watched the place explode into pieces as they feared for whoever was inside. The Namikaze family widened their eyes, and so did Tsunade, A, Darui and C. Everyone gulped as they worried for Naruto and Yugao. The explosion stopped and a pile of rubble and debris was scattered around the forested area. Everyone opened their eyes to see the still raging fires in front of them, as some of them wondered what they were supposed to do now, but unknown to them the Anbu had small grins behind their masks. Naruto really was unpredictable. Speaking of the two, unknown area, Yugao rubbed her head as she opened her eyes. She half expected to see the Shinigami in front of her, but all she saw was complete darkness, again. The Anbu got to her feet and looked around. She looked up and widened her eyes. They had just fallen through the floor in the building and ended up somewhere that she had no idea where they were. She turned her head to see Naruto getting up also, and the blonde wiped some sweat from his head. That was too close. Iteration, but that would take too much chakra, so I did the next best thing. I tried to close you and me in my sand and hoped it would cushion the impact. Looks like I got it right, Naruto said, rubbing the back of his head, and Yugao looked at him incredulously. She watched Naruto get to his feet before they looked around. See anything in front of you? Naruto asked, and Yugao shook her head. The blonde Tokubutsu Jonin sighed as he took out his fire sword. He watched it flare as it lit up the darkness around them. They saw a sequence of tunnels going in different directions. Which way should we go? Naruto asked, but Yugao didn't know what to tell him. She hadn't been here before. Heck, she didn't even know that this place existed until just now. She had a feeling that others knew, but they just didn't tell her. I guess we could go that way, Yugao responded, and they walked down a path towards their unknown location. Hokage Mansion. Tsunade, did you come up with this also? Or asked, and Tsunade chuckled with a sly grin on her face, already answering A's question. Darui and C had already learned that they were dealing with a woman who always took things like this to the extreme. They were surprised when they heard the explosion themselves and could only wonder how this sound didn't reach the rest of the village, but that was for another point. Who, me? Of course not. What made you think of something like that? She asked, making her and his associates look at the three Jonin who were rubbing their hands from the paperwork they were doing. They felt like their fingers were about to fall off their hands. Tsunade-sama, a break please. One of the Jonin asked, and Tsunade sighed as she nodded. Very well. You three may leave. Bring in the next 7 teams who failed at the Forest of Death. Please and thank you, Tsunade said, and the Jonin cried tears of joy with nods of their own as they left. The next few Jonin who arrived gulped as they stared at the pile. Get to work please, Tsunade said, cracking her knuckles, and all the Jonin nodded as they started their punishment, making her and the others wince. I'm not even sure I could be like that, said, and Tsunade leaned in the back of her chair. It's all about mentality, Reikage Dono. Now then, let's continue to watch, Tsunade said, and the others gathered around her again to watch the daily HPT go down. With Shizune and Kurenai, both sighed as they looked at what was in front of them. They were looking at a board that was meant for all Hokage advisors and being the secretary of the Hokage. It was like a small seminar for the others of the group, and Kurenai leaned towards Shizune. Any idea what this is even about? Kurenai asked, and Shizune shook her head. She had been the secretary to Tsunade, so she knew most of these job responsibilities, but she didn't know why other had to learn them also. Maybe the Anbu was still planning something and she just didn't know what. Regardless, the two ladies counted to sit in the room along with the other Jonin who were supporters to their leaders. With some of the genin, Sasuke sighed as he sat at a table. He noticed how bored Chuji, Shikamaru and Ino looked. He also noticed Lee, Tenten and Neji along with them. Does anyone know where their Jonin sensei is? Chuji asked, making everyone shake their heads in response to his question. Tenten sighed as she tossed a teacup in her hands. I've got no idea where any of our senseis are. I'm glad for these few days off, but still. It's not like Guy Sensei to miss our training sessions, Tenten said, and soon everyone noticed Kiba, Haku, Sakura, and Hinata arrive. The pink-haired Kanoiki immediately walked over to Sasuke and hugged him, which irritated the Uchiha to no end. Sasuke-kun, I'm so glad you're back, Sakura said, making Sasuke roll his eyes. He didn't respond to her voice and tried not to register her presence at all. She was still as much an annoyance as ever. It must have been hard to get Sasuke-san back, but has anyone seen Kurenai-sensei? Hinata asked, and everyone shook their heads. Kiba, Haku, and Shikamaru, being Chunin, could understand where everyone was and knew better than anyone where Naruto was at the moment. I haven't seen her. I'm just grateful for these days off, Ino said as she sipped some tea. Shino adjusted his glasses and looked at the Hokage mansion. Maybe all the Jonin and Tokubutsu Jonin are in a campaign funded by Hokage-sama to determine the next Hokage of the village and couldn't tell us because we're Genin, Shino said, and everyone stared at him. Shikamaru, Kiba, and Haku widened their eyes and nervously looked at everyone else before Chuji bursted out laughing. Wow, and I thought Shino didn't have a sense of humor. That's rich, the Akamaki said while Sakura laughed also. Yeah, just think of Naruto Baka trying out for such a campaign. He might get lose in the first event, Sakura said, and everyone quieted down. They all didn't say anything, and while Sasuke stood to his feet. You really need to grow up. It's obvious that something is going on here and I aim to find out. There haven't been any Anbu on me for a few days. Anyone who wants to can follow me, Sasuke said as he walked away. Kiba glanced at them and shrugged his shoulders as he followed the Uchiha. Haku did also, as well as the others. Sigh, what a drag, Shikamaru said, getting up and walking away. Tenten, Ino and Sakura followed also as the Genin wanted to know what was happening. As they walked across the streets they saw 3 Jonin their hands and came up to them. Hey, where are the other Jonin and Anbu? Aren't they supposed to be around? Tenten asked, and the Jonin glanced at the Genin. The 3 sighed as they rubbed the back of their heads before looking at each other. That's right. It has been quiet around here, hasn't it? I'm not sure where they could be, one of them said, but then Sasuke and Neji noticed the slight tears and injuries the Jonin had on their B. Something wasn't right here. Not at all. Well, shoot. Maybe we should go see Hokage-sama. I bet she'd know something, Sakura said, and everyone decided to take her up on her suggestion as they walked away. The Jonin began to sweat as they watched the Genin go towards the Hokage mansion. Great, it looks like these kids are starting to get suspicious. If they find out, Kami only knows what Tsunade-sama will do to us, the Jonin said, making the others agree with him. So what are we going to do? The Jonin asked, and they racked their brains, but the longer they stalled the longer the group of Genin walked off. Kiba, Haku, and Shikamaru sweated as they saw everyone reaching the Hokage mansion. Come on, someone think of something, Kiba told them, making Haku think it over while Shikamaru rubbed his head. He sighed before walking forward. Stop, guys, the Nara told them, and everyone did so, then turned around to face him. We can't just go to the Hokage mansion and demand an explanation. It's really none of our business where our Jonin sensei go. Besides, unless you all forgot this important fact, the Raikage is there. They could be having a meeting at the moment, and I don't think you'd like to interrupt them both, Shikamaru told them, and soon everyone got cold feet before turning around. They really didn't have oh no that badly, and Kiba wiped the sweat from his face. That was too close, the Inuzuka Chunin said, making Haku and Shikamaru nod. I bought us some time, but not a lot. I can only hope that it was enough to dissuade them for right now. Man, the Hokage is really pushing her luck, Shikamaru said more to himself. Well, she is called the legendary sucker. We'll be lucky if the whole village doesn't find out when she's done with this thing, Haku responded, making Kiba and Shikamaru give light chuckles to her comment. Oh well, I guess we should go follow everyone else. Kami only knows what's going to happen if we leave them alone, Shikamaru said as the 3 Chunin walked off to catch up with their friends. With the other Jonin, Kakashi, Genma, Anko and Shikaku looked through the wreckage and sighed. They couldn't find Naruto's body anywhere nor Yugao's. They could only come to the assumption that they got away, but as for the where, well, that was still being discussed. He's not here, guys. I know he isn't, Anko said as she looked over another board. Genma dropped one and sighed. Well, it's not like he just disappeared into thin air with that Anbu. They have to be around here somewhere, Genma said while Kakashi opened one board. He raised an eyebrow before smiling. He chuckled and waved everyone over as they followed him. Naruto, you really are unpredictable. Who knows how much time we lost trying to look for you, Kakashi thought as he noticed a small door leading into the ground under them. That cheeky brat. He really deserves to be my sensei, Anko said with a grin as everyone jumped through the floor into the long underground caverns. With Naruto and Yugao, the pair had been walking for about an hour and neither had an idea of where they were going. It was much too dark to tell, but they knew that the others would probably be coming soon and the fact that they had been an hour ahead would mean nothing. Both walked for a few minutes before coming up to a wall. Naruto growled and cursed. As end. The blonde wondered and Yugao figured it was, but before they turned around to try something else the earth behind them crumbled and showed the rest of the way. Naruto and Yugao raised an eyebrow. They both glanced at each other and merely nodded as they walked through the cavern. As they passed the entrance, it was quickly shut, making them turn around fast before they ventured onward. This is becoming a pain, Naruto said, and Yugao couldn't help but agree with him. Soon their walking was stopped as they saw a candle in the middle of the cavern floor, but what surprised them wasn't the candle, but an Anbu sitting in a lotus position on the ground, his mask shining bright from the candle fire. I see someone has finally appeared. I wasn't expecting someone so soon, he said in a calm manner while Naruto sighed. Hi, where are we? Naruto asked and the Anbu chuckled. You are where I am and I am where you are. It's just that simple, the Anbu said, and Naruto glared at him while Yugao rolled her eyes. Alright, so where are you and I? Naruto asked and the Anbu grinned behind his mask. Now that's the question. We are in the caverns of Konoha. No one knows it, but this is the ultimate training ground. The forest of death is one below this. Only the elite Anbu know of this place. Now then, won't you please sit so we can talk? The Anbu asked and Naruto knelt down. Yugao followed him and the Anbu smiled. Good, now let's relax. We can enjoy the caverns for a bit before we get to business, the Anbu said, and Naruto sighed. I'm not to be rude, but I don't have the time to waste. Can we please get right to business? Naruto asked and the Anbu chuckled. Busy, busy, busy. Sometimes it's nice to not be busy. Let's not fuss over the little things, the Anbu said, and if there was one thing that Naruto and Yugao knew about this guy, it was that he was very mellow for an Anbu. Naruto leaned toward Yugao and whispered in her ear. Anyone you know? Naruto asked and Yugao shook her head at him. For all she knew, all Anbu were fun when there was nothing to do and serious when they had something. No one was so calm before. Not someone I've seen, Yugao said, and the Anbu smiled as he pulled out a cup and a drink. Sake? He asked as he poured a small drink into Naruto's cup along with Yugao's. Both took the drink into their hands and narrowed their eyes. They carefully inspected the drinks and sipped them as the Anbu's smile widened. He grinned as he placed the drink down. Now then, it's time to begin. One of you has taken AS. It is set to K within 3 to 4 hours. It also stops your chakra for a total of 6 hours, so if you have some kind of escape route, then it's been shut off to you. Here is where we negotiate. I have the antidote right here and I want one of you to K the other. Now then, can you follow my instructions? The Anbu asked and Naruto widened his eyes. He gulped and Yugao turned to him. You did this? Naruto asked and the Anbu raised his hands in defense. Hey, chill out, kid. Just figure out which one has the L and see if you will K each other for the antidote, the Anbu said, waving it around, and Naruto narrowed his eyes. Yugao did also. Naruto-kun, it was you. You drank the L, but it's hard to get rid of. I could have it gone in an hour or so, but you will be feeling hurt for a bit, Kyuubi said, and Naruto tensed. He was slightly happy that Yugao didn't have it, but he was also worried for himself. Yugao noticed Naruto tensed and feared the worst. She didn't feel a loss of chakra, but she did notice Naruto's take a small drop. Does he have it? She wondered, and Naruto smiled as he calmly breathed. Well, I refuse to K Yugao-chan. She's precious to me and a Hokage doesn't abandon their precious people. If you don't give me the cure, then I'll simply go past you and get out of here. I refuse to Naruto said, smiling, and Yugao softly smiled. You'll have to do better than that to get me to K my partner. Sorry, but I refuse, Yugao said, and the Anbu shrugged his shoulders. He simply smiled as he played with bottle in his hands. This went on as Kyubi tried to get rid of all the L. She'd done so well over the years that Naruto had tried to get L and she cured them all. No way was something man-made going to stop her. Alright, that section's done. Now to destroy it before it reaches his vital organs, Kyubi said in thought as she continued to work. Meanwhile, Naruto was starting to breathe harder as he began to sweat. Yugao slowly started to grow more concerned as the Anbu chuckled. Well, either you two kill one another or no one gets this antidote, the Anbu said before Naruto chuckled. Stop being stupid. You know we all know by now that I have the L and you're expecting me to L Yugao-chan to get it, but I sure as hell won't do it, Naruto said as his breathing hitched. He felt a sharp pain in his C, but waved it off. He still had another 2 to 3 hours left. Kyubi-chan. I know, Naruto-kun. There's more than I thought, but I'm getting rid of it. I need another 15 minutes, Kyubi said, and Naruto breath hitched again. He felt his vision get blurry as he tried to stay focused. Tell me, why won't you kill her? You won't be Hokage if you can't make tough decisions in the world. Shut up, Naruto said, startling the Anbu. A Hokage does make tough decisions, but it's for the benefit of the entire village. I refuse to kill one of my own to save myself. If I need to give up my dream to save her, then I will, but I refuse to kill Yugao-chan, Naruto said, and he had his mind set. The Anbu smirked and looked at his candle. Can you say that when this candle goes out, you'll S if you don't take this antidote? I doubt she feels the same about you, the Anbu said in a calm voice, and Naruto smiled. He then laughed, making Yugao wonder what could be so funny along with the Anbu. You could never get it, team. It's not about having someone like me back. It's about doing the right thing. You might be willing to save yourself by risking your comrades, but I'm not. Those who kill their friends will grow S inside. So I kill her, then I kill my humanity. I don't, then I S. Either way I'm going to S one or the other. At least I can S with my humanity, Naruto said, surprising the Anbu. The masked man looked at the vial and Yugao felt her respect and affection for Naruto grow. There, it's gone, Naruto-kun, Kyubi said, and the blonde grinned. He trudged forward and touched the Anbu's armor. But luckily for me, I've got a beautiful vixen who loves me enough to deal with something like this, Naruto said as the Anbu widened his eyes. He quickly jumped to his feet and Naruto crossed his fingers. You want to negotiate? Fine, let's negotiate on whether or not I kill you, Naruto said as he yelled. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, the blonde yelled as he sent numerous clones to tackle the Anbu. Soon the vial dropped in front of Naruto and Yugao. The two looked at it as Naruto opened it. He took it in his mouth and drank half of it. He gave the other to Yugao. Just in case. I wouldn't want you to S on me, Naruto said, and Yugao drank the antidote also. They looked at the passed out Anbu and grinned. They noticed the wall behind him drop and they left just as easily. Did you mean what you said? Yugao asked, and Naruto turned to her. About what? He asked as he marveled at her beauty that was enhanced by the flames of his sword next to him. Yugao scratched her cheek and smiled. Well, did you really mean that I was precious to you? I mean, we don't really know that much about each other, Yugao said, and Naruto smiled. Your name is Yugao Azuki. You're a member of Konoha's Anbu. You like to look at the moon at night. You love to use kenjutsu just like I do. You're 22 years old with an AB type. Your birthday is November the 3rd. You love to eat yakisoba when you have the free time. Your best friends are Anko Mitarashi, Kurenai Yuhi, and Hana Inuzuka. You love to have soft drinks when you're alone. Am I right in all that? Naruto asked, and Yugao widened her eyes. The blonde smiled at her reaction as the Anbu showed genuine shock as Naruto walked away. Yugao followed him, and soon enough she passed him and stopped in front of the blonde Tokubutsu Jonin. Who did you know that? She asked, and Naruto smiled as he rubbed the back of his head. Well, you see, I sort of asked Tanko-chan and Kurenai-chan about you. I wasn't prying, I was just interested in you is all, Naruto said, and Yugao gave a blank stare before smiling. Two could totally play at that game. Your name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. You're a Tokubutsu Jonin of Konoha's shinobi force. You like ramen and like to train when you have the time. You probably love kenjutsu as much as I do. You're 13 years old with ABB type. Your birthday is October the 10th. Your parents are Konoha's Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. You're the head of the Uzumaki Namikaze clan. You graduated the Chunin exams and became a Tokubutsu Jonin at 13 also. Your team is made up of Kakashi Teiku, Kiba Inuzuka, and Haku Momiki. You're the container for the Kyuubi and you're also called Konoha's first ever bloodline ninja, or as other call you, Naruto of the limitless bloodlines. Yugao finished with a smile and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Bloodline ninja. Who calls me that? Naruto asked and Yugao smirked. Oh, just about everyone who has seen you fight, Yugao told him and Naruto snorted. Well, it's obvious that you know about me, so why did you say that we hardly know each other? Naruto asked and Yugao chuckled before brushing a hand through her hair. It's because I wasn't sure if you knew me that well, but you do. Which I might add is surprising, but that's beside the case. You really are interesting, Yugao said and Naruto rubbed the back of his head. Interesting enough for the future Hokage to ask an Anbu on a date. Naruto wondered and Yugao slightly raised an eyebrow. She chuckled and smiled as she placed a hand on her side. Interesting enough, I suppose. I like my yakisoba with red wine, just so you know, Yugao said as she surprised Naruto, giving him a K on the check before walking off. Naruto blushed while Kyuubi, oohed. Namika's compound. Whoa, that S really does have some balls after all, Tayuya said, making Kasumi giggle. That's Naruto-sama, always wanting to get to know someone, she said while Yugito smirked. I can't believe I'm getting married to the guy that's got a CRA. It's so unbelievable, Yugito responded and Nanabe was currently on the couch watching the event unfold also. He really is a man. I wonder how good he actually is, Nanabe said and Kasumi blushed as she remembered her experience. He's like A.S. Kami, as Anko would say, Kasumi making everyone widen their eyes. Fu, Yugito, Nanabe and oddly enough Tayuya glared at Kasumi and the dog girl chuckled as she slowly got up. I'm gonna go now, she said as she ran away, but the tension in the air was tense as everyone got up. Get back here and tell us what that means. They all yelled as they ran after Kasumi, demanding their explanations. Kushina chuckled while Kimimaro turned to her. You're not running after her also? He asked with a semi-emotionless gaze. Kushina smirked as she leaned on the couch. Sochi told me something. Old enough to K, old enough to drink, gamble, and have S. Just like Minato, I swear, Kushina said as she continued to watch her son and his new date walking to the exit of the cavern. With Naruto and Yugao, the two walked in relative silence before they saw a light at the end of the tunnel. They both sighed as they walked inside. Naruto looked around and gasped. He widened his eyes when he looked at the place. It was a giant stadium with rows of seats and in the center was a small little field. It was nice and perfect for battle. So many people would be able to watch also. Welcome, brat, someone yelled and Naruto looked a little further to see Tsunade waving at him. Naruto widened his eyes at seeing her as he and Yugao came up to her. Bar-chan, you're sick. This tournament is so weird. Why are you doing this? Naruto asked and Tsunade grinned. Because I need to test you all. I find it amazing that you completed the fourth event, brat. You show very good determination, but show me if you have the skill to back it up, Tsunade said and Naruto raised an eyebrow. Don't worry, it will be explained in the next event. You've made it to the last event. So just sit there with your Anbu and await instructions, Tsunade told him. Naruto glared at her, but nodded. That last event, he wondered if that could be classified as an event at all, but he passed it and that was all that mattered. Hey Naruto, someone said and the blonde looked behind him. He saw a number of Chunin coming into the stadium and widened his eyes. Kiba, Haku, Shikamaru. What are you guys doing here? Naruto asked and Kiba pointed up. We're below the Hokage mansion. Didn't you know that? It's amazing what you're doing. Tsunade-sama said that all Chunin could watch if they wanted, but civilians and genin weren't allowed, so this is some sort of surprise. We're just about to fill the stadium. We can't wait to see what's going to happen, Haku said and Naruto leaned back on the chair. That was it. A very long walk from the Hokage stone faces towards the Hokage mansion. Naruto felt like he could S himself. I hate her, Naruto said to himself, making everyone chuckle at him. Oh, thank goodness Naruto-kun, you made it, Shizune said, coming out of nowhere to hug the blonde. Naruto grinned as he saw Kurenai come from behind her. Hey guys, where were you? Naruto asked and Kurenai sighed with her arms folded and her eyes closed. We were taking a small course on how to be Hokage secretaries, although we don't know why. Who knows what this is about, Kurenai said with a small shrug of her shoulders. At least you were threatened to K your partner. I'd say you got off the hook, Yugao said, and Kurenai glared at her. Nice to see you too, Yugao, Kurenai said, and Yugao smiled with a small nod. Everyone watched the stadium fill up with Chunin, Anbu, and defeated Jonin. Naruto even saw Hi-no Kuni's debut next to Tsunade, Reikage, Darui and C. It was getting even more filled, but 2 hours later more Jonin began to come through the door as some found Naruto and Yugao sitting patiently. Naruto, that was very mean and dangerous what you did. I'm gonna remember that, Anko told him, and Naruto chuckled as he rubbed the back of his head. Everyone went back to the groups, and just as easily the fourth event began. It ended. Tsunade stood to her feet and walked up the podium. How many of you have enjoyed this HPT? Tsunade asked, and dozens of people hooray-ed for it. They definitely had some fun with it as they figured it was over, but they had forgotten the Anbu's words. Well then, this is the last event, so we will make it count and make it count good. See that arena? You will be having a 2-on-2 fight with the others. Although I have a small secret. There was a bonus round that made you even more eligible to do this round. Those who completed the exercise were Kakashi Hatake, Anko Mitarashi, Genma Shiranui, Shikaku Nara, and Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. These 5's leaders will compete against each other, but since it's an odd number, one of them will be fighting one of my Anbu. Tenzo, come here, Tsunade ordered, and immediately an Anbu came to the ground. Yes, Hokage-sama, Tenzo said, and Tsunade grinned. This bonus round was actually a part of having to do this event. Those who didn't get to do it are disqualified. You must be fast to achieve things or you'll miss out on opportunities. Use this experience to better yourselves, Tsunade said, and some of the Jonin sighed. They all nodded, but at least they had fun. They really did. It was a splendid time, and some thanked their friends for going with them. Tsunade gave everyone the moment to settle before she called the 5 in front of her to the field. They all followed, with Naruto being wished luck by his friends. Everyone stood across from each other in a single file as they faced their Hokage. Through all the trials you have tried and persevered. You all have the qualities that make you a Kage, but now I want to see your battle wits. I will call out a name randomly and I want to see you fight it out. Anything is allowed, so use it to the best of your abilities, Tsunade said, and the 5 nodded. She grinned and looked at them all. Remind you of the Chunin exams, doesn't it? Naruto asked, and the other nodded before Tsunade raised her hand. Shikaku Nara versus Kakashi Hatake, Tsunade yelled, and immediately the two took a glance at each other. Naruto, Anko and Genma left the field while people cheered on for the Jonin commander and the copy ninja. The two stared at each other while Kakashi chuckled. Shikaku raised an eyebrow at him and wondered what was so funny. It's just that I never thought I'd be fighting you. It'll be quite the experience for me, Kakashi said, and Shikaku narrowed his eyes with a small smile on his face. He nodded and quickly placed his hands together. I agree. I never thought I'd get to fight you, but I won't back down. Even if this is bothersome, Shikaku said, and Kakashi nodded. Hajime, Tsunade yelled, and Kakashi threw a kunai at Shikaku, who blocked it with his own. The underground stadium roared in excitement for the two Jonin as Kakashi closed the distance between himself and Shikaku. He'd fought plenty of Nara and knew that a long-range fight would be a disadvantage to him. Shikaku narrowed his eyes as he tried to form a plan against the copy Jonin, but he quickly had to maneuver through a sequence of kicks and punches that came from Kakashi. The Jonin grinned as he quickly and furiously attacked the Nara head. Shikaku blocked a punch to his face and grabbed Kakashi's wrist. He used a sweep kick, but Kakashi jumped over it and spun in the air to deliver a kick to Shikaku's face, making the Jonin commander wince at the pain before he skidded back. He swiped off the bee from his mouth before turning to Kakashi, who had his hands in high pockets with an eye smile. Bothersome Jonin, Shikaku said as he rubbed his end just like Shikamaru did. Kijimane no Jutsu, Shikaku yelled, sending his shadow at Kakashi. The Jonin widened his eyes and quickly maneuvered to dodge the shadow as he knew that if Shikaku got him then it was over. It's not that easily, Shikaku-san, Kakashi said as he went through some hand signs. Kaiten, Gyu no Jutsu, Kakashi yelled, sending the ball of fire for the Nara. Shikaku growled as he let go of his technique in order to dodge the massive fireball before he reached into his pouch and pulled out some wire. He grinned as he threw 3 kunai at Kakashi, but the Jonin easily dodged them before Shikaku landed on his feet and did his hand sign. Kage Nui no Jutsu, shadow sewing technique, Shikaku said as his shadow grabbed Kakashi and bound him to the place where he was. The Jonin narrowed his eyes as he saw Shikaku take out a flash bomb. Looks like I'm in trouble, Kakashi said as Shikaku sighed. He threw the flash bomb at Kakashi's feet and the Jonin covered his eyes while Shikaku threw a kunai looking to make this quick, but he forgot who he was facing. The kunai passed through the light without touching anything, making Shikaku narrow his eyes. Where are you? Shikaku wondered before he realized who he was fighting. The Jonin backflipped away as Kakashi came out of the ground while he glared at the Nara. So you figured it out, huh? Kakashi asked and Shikaku snorted. It's you after all. I fought with you before so I know you quite well, Shikaku said and Kakashi nodded before he gave a small serious glare. Then it's about time I got serious. This'll be the fastest time that someone's made me use this, Kakashi said lifting his headband. Yeah Kakashi, show us all your flames of youth. Guy yelled while Asuma sighed. I can only be happy that I'm not getting involved in that. It'd be too much of a pain in the A, the Jonin said as he saw Shikaku dodge a kick from Kakashi. The Jonin narrowed his eyes as his Sharingan was in full flare until he saw the Nara smirk. Gotcha, Shikaku said as Kakashi looked below him. He gasped when he saw a explosion kunai under him and quickly changed to a defensive position as the blast exploded near him. He quickly jumped out of the smoke and chuckled. That was close again. It's rare that you get serious, Kakashi said before he looked around to see Shikaku gone. He raised an eyebrow as he wondered where the Jonin commander went, but he got his answer when he saw the floor going black. Kakashi widened his eyes and the shadows crept along the walls of the stadium and slowly surrounded him. He narrowed his eyes before he felt his body overtaken by the Nara. Kage Zetsubo Sekai, Shadow World of Despair, Shikaku said as he came out of the ground. Kakashi was trapped inside a giant ball of shadow as he sighed. Shikaku smirked as he touched the outside of the ball. 3 presses and this crushes you. Give up, Shikaku said and Kakashi narrowed his eyes. He closed them soon enough and did his hand signs. Naruto and everyone watched with bated breath as Shikaku hit the ball making it smaller. 1. He said and people wondered if Shikaku would really K Kakashi. 2. He said as he hit the ball making it compress again. Kakashi's hand glowed in lightning as he stared forward. Thr. Reikiri, Kakashi yelled as he pierced through the shadow escaping his grasp while Shikaku chuckled. Kakashi smirked as he stood to his feet. I'm not out of this yet Shikaku. We're just starting to have our fun, Kakashi said and Shikaku shook his head. No this over, Shikaku said and Kakashi wondered what he meant and Shikaku pointed to the ground between Kakashi's legs. The Jonin looked down at the explosion tag and widened his eyes. Exactly as planned, Shikaku said with his back turned as the tag exploded knocking Kakashi out of the small field. He s into the wall and slumped to the floor. The Jonin shook his head and chuckled before rubbing the back of his head. Can't get anything past you Shikaku, Kakashi said as Shikaku helped him up. It was over before it started. I had you figured out at least 3 steps ahead, the Nara said before Kakashi chuckled. Not really, the Jonin said with a puff and Shikaku widened his eyes. A Kage Bunshin. He wondered before Kakashi took out a scroll. He bit his thumb and traced it over the scroll. You're not the only one with tricks Shikaku, Kakashi said as he s the ground. Kuchios, Doten, Choiga no Jutsu, Summoning, Earth Release, Fanged Vengeance Technique, Kakashi yelled as seals ran through the ground before it tore up. Shikaku felt the ground quake before he did his hand signs. Kuro Higanbana, Black Spider Lily, Shikaku yelled as he quickly used his shadow and it quickly captured what was aimed at him which were Kakashi's dogs that he summoned with his contract. The Jonin narrowed their eyes at each other while some people were in awe. They've used so many techniques, but they're not even exhausted yet. It's amazing, Haku said while Shikamaru stared at his father. Despite his attitude the old man really knows how to train when he wants. He is the Jonin commander after all, Shikamaru told them making Kiba and Haku nod before they were joined by Inoki and Chusa. That's right. He's good. That's why he's the leader. Able to make precise calculations, analyze and plan a step ahead then act accordingly. This is why he's got the potential to be the Hokage. It's a shame the other Jonin who weren't the leaders aren't fighting, but followers can't be the Hokage. The Hokage must be the leader. There is almost no one better than Shikaku, Inoki said with a small smile on his face as everyone watched the two jonin. Well, you can't count out Kakashi-sensei. He really knows his stuff. He is our sensei after all, Kiba said, and Haku had to agree. The fight was taking over an hour for the two jonin and both were getting tired. Kakashi backflipped and so did Shikaku. The two huffed before Kakashi's left eye twitched. Too much use of the Sharingan. I won't hold out much longer and I've still got other fights to do, Kakashi said to himself while Shikaku sighed. I'll settle it with this, Shikaku said as he sent his shadow at Kakashi. The jonin quickly jumped into the air and threw a kunai at the jonin commander, making him dodge, but when he did, Kakashi quickly moved behind him and held kunai to his en. Now it's over, Kakashi said, and Shikaku nodded. That's right, it's over, Shikaku said as he moved and Kakashi lowered his kunai. He sighed as Shikaku turned around and did a single hand sign. His shadow crept up to Kakashi's en and the jonin chuckled. I give up, Kakashi said, and Shikaku released his hold. Both dropped to the ground and chuckled as Tsunade came to the podium. Winner, Shikaku Nara, Tsunade said, and the entire underground stadium roared for them as the Anbu easily escorted Kakashi and Shikaku off the field. Tsunade looked at the others and smiled. Next fight, Anko Mitarashi vs Genma Shiranui, Tsunade said, and the two got to their feet. Konoha's snake mistress versus the Hokage's elite bodyguard. This promises to be good, Tsunade said, and Kiba sat next to her. Ka-chan, why are you doing this? I thought you'd jump at the chance, Kiba said, and Tsunade laughed while patting Kuromaru's head. It's nothing, pup. Besides, I'll soon be the head girlfriend to the Hokage, so I come close, Tsunade said, and everyone chuckled as she mentioned Naruto. Kiba chuckled as he watched them fight. So who's better? They're both Tokubutsu jonin like Naruto-kun, Haku said to everyone, and people nodded. I think Genma might win this. He's had a lot more experience than Anko at this, Shibi said, but someone interrupted. Anko will win. I hate to admit it at times, but having Naruto as our sensei has done massive improvements for us. You'll see, Kurenai said, and Yugao smirked along with Hana, who had just arrived. I didn't know you needed training from Naruto-kun, Yugao said, and Kurenai chuckled. A lot of people said that to her. Have you seen him fight? Kurenai asked, and Yugao shook her head, but to be a Tokubutsu jonin at a young age he must have been good. Then you'll see in the next fight, Kurenai said, making Yugao seem anxious while Kiba, Haku, Tsunade and Hana knew exactly what Kurenai was talking about. How many fights has it been, Genma? Anko asked as she licked her lips. Genma chuckled as he took a senbon from his mouth. Ever since the times that you, me and Raido were on the Genin squads those years ago. If I had to guess, then it was 0 wins, 0 loses, 99 draws between you and me. Feels nostalgic, doesn't it? Genma asked, and Anko closed her eyes. She gave a smirk as she remembered her childhood. She had been gifted of going to the academy early and was easily the best with Kurenai and Kakashi, so she was placed on the team with Genma and Raido. Those were the days. Now will be the first win I have against you, Anko said as she took out a kunai. Genma rolled his eyes and took his senbon out of his mouth. Then let's go before is from the boredom, Genma told her, and Anko gave a forced smile which twitched slightly. Hajime, Tsunade yelled, and Anko quickly erased the distance between herself and Genma, making the elite bodyguard to the Hokage gasp slightly. Anko smiled as she kicked him across the face before he into a wall. I'm not holding back. Got that? Anko asked as she turned to Naruto. The blonde gave her a thumbs up and Anko quickly turned back around. Genma appeared from the rubble and grinned as he brushed his lip. Damn, that hurt. She's never hit that hard before. She's really been training, Genma said before he charged at Anko. The two were quickly in a taijutsu fight as they each blocked the other's kicks and punches. Genma jumped in the air and tried to kick Anko across the face, but the purple-haired snake mistress saw it coming and ducked under it before she smiled. Right back at ya, Anko said as she kicked Genma into the air. The jonin cursed as he saw Anko jump into the air. Have you been training, Genma? Anko asked as she did an over-the-head drop kick, but Genma blocked it and smiled as he flipped Anko over. Still susceptible to tricks, Genma said, and Anko freed her right hand and they fell towards the ground. Anko grabbed Genma's arm, quickly flung him over her body, and the two landed on the field below. Genma chuckled as did Anko. The two cracked their knuckles before Anko closed her eyes. I've trained hard by a good as hell Gaki. He really knows his stuff, Genma. I'm not going to lose again, Anko said as she quickly went through her hand signs. She quickly took a breath of air while Genma smiled. Kaiten, Ruka no Jutsu, Anko yelled, sending the blazing fire at Genma, but the Jonin only smiled. Suten, Kikina Aki no Jutsu, water release, falls of the danger, Genma yelled, sending some water at the fire that Anko used, and it quickly extinguished it, making Anko dodge out of the way. Where did you get the water for that? Anko asked, and Genma chuckled. No telling, Genma said as he ran at Anko. The snake mistress got to her feet and blocked a punch from Genma as she sent a kick at his right leg. Genma slightly winced while Anko smiled. Just like old times, isn't it? Anko asked, and Genma nodded. Yeah, it's entertaining, he said, and Anko backflipped while Genma stopped his assault. He grinned at Anko as the snake mistress chuckled again. She was having a good time. Anko took out a smoke bomb and quickly used it to cover her trail. Genma narrowed his eyes and looked around. Tricks, Anko? Genma asked, and Anko smiled as her voice echoed. You know me. I like to be unpredictable, Anko said as she threw a kunai at Genma. The Jonin managed to catch one, and the two collided again as they kunai created sparks that flashed over the entire arena. I remember long ago that you told me winning wasn't everything, Anko said, and Genma nodded with a roll of his eyes. That's right, but here it's the only thing that matters, he said before he felt pain in his back. He turned around and saw 3 kunai embedded in his backside before turning to Anko. Sneaky snake, Genma said, and Anko nodded with a thanks of appreciation in her voice before Genma grabbed her arm, making Anko raise an eyebrow. She saw the real Genma come from the ground and smirked. Still a long ways to go, Anko-chan. Kai, Genma said as the person next to her exploded. The stadium covered their eyes while Naruto grinned. He trained Anko better than that, or at least he tried after all. The dust settled down as everyone looked to see Genma as the only one on the field. He chuckled before he saw multiple snakes slither away and sucked his teeth. Hebi Bunshin ha, Genma said to himself before he saw Anko jump in the air. She spun her body while she did multiple hand signs. I'd like to see you try and extinguish this, Anko said as she blew a fire around her. Thanks to her spinning and the added rotation of her body, the fires spread throughout her body, covering the Jonin entirely as it took the form of a spiraling fire headed for Genma. I've never seen that, Naruto said to himself, and Genma widened his eyes. Kaiten, Jobu Kaiten, fire release, spinning top, Anko yelled as she s into the ground, making it explode while Genma backed away. He growled before his headband fell to the ground. Great, so she's that serious, Genma said as he rubbed the back of his N, but he failed to take something into account, and that was Anko's new speed from her training. Too slow, Genma, Anko said, and Genma widened his eyes. She severely kicked him across the back and Genma tried to rebound, but Anko was fast as she threw a kunai into the air. She then ran after Genma and kicked him into the air. Genma winced at the pain and wondered why he could access his chakra before he widened his eyes. Sneaky snake, Genma said as Anko grabbed her kunai. Make this 1 win, 0 loses, and 99 draws for me, Genma, Anko said as she kicked Genma down into the ground. She then landed on the ground next to him, and the elite Jonin to the Hokage rolled his eyes. Well, I failed to notice that chakra seal tag. You did it when we were in the middle of that small explosion with my Bunshin. I failed to realize it in time and I paid for it. I quit, Genma said, and Anko chuckled. Winner Anko Mitarashi, Tsunade said, and Anko walked off, but then everyone's grin got bigger along with Tsunade. Finally I get to see what he can do, Yugao said with a small smile on her face. It's about time. I wonder how he stacks up to an Anbu, Kurenai said to herself while Anko turned around. She couldn't wait to see this after all. It was going to get good now. She wondered if the stadium could hold them both. Go get it done, Gaki, Anko said while everyone in the Namikaze compound gathered around again. Yes, I finally get to see what this S is all about, Tayuya said, and Kimimaro paid a critical eye as well. Everyone paid attention to the ball in front of them. Sume grinned as she saw her boyfriend get to his feet. Time to see if he can really do the impossible, Sume said, and everyone nodded. Naruto walked towards the platform and so did the Anbu, Tenzo. The two glared at each other and Naruto made a request. Take off the mask, Naruto said, and the Anbu raised an eyebrow. He turned to Tsunade for approval and she nodded. The Anbu went for his mask and took it off. His face was rather regular, but he had brown hair and had a medium build. Naruto grinned as he closed his eyes. He took in everything. The sounds of the crowds, the cheering and the mood of the air. Win Naruto-kun. I didn't train you so much to see you lose. Go get him Foxy-kun, Kyuubi told him and Naruto nodded. He opened his eyes and Tenzo was greeted to the sight of Naruto eyes. The same blue eyes, but with the small, white, kunai-shaped pupils. Naruto dropped into a high Jonin stance and Tenzo dropped into his stance also. Time to have some fun Databio, Naruto said and Tenzo grinned. Very well Uzumaki Namikaze-san. Let's give everyone a good show, Tenzo said and Naruto nodded as Tsunade raised her hand. Hajime. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.